In 2019, Miami's defense was dead last in the NFL by DVOA. In 2020, the Dolphins jumped to 11th overall and 6th in pass DVOA. They went from giving up 35 points per game to just 21. All this improvement was spurred by the fronts and pressure packages from Brian Flores and great secondary play from Xavien Howard and new addition Byron Jones. Miami had one of the highest blitz and pressure rates in the NFL, with almost 10% of their blitzes coming from a cover zero look with no deep help. They also brought 5 or more rushers on over 1/3 of their defensive snaps. They weren't without flaws, especially in the run game, but the defense came up big without the big names to back it up. The Dolphins took double mug schemes and ramped it up to the max with their cover zero overload looks. While they only ended up blitzing and being in a true cover zero about 10% of the time, that didn't stop them from showing cover zero and bailing out of it. Cover zero means there are 0 deep defenders. Everyone is at the line of scrimmage and in man coverage. It's a high risk and high reward defensive scheme, and Flores was really unfazed by the risk it brought. He would run it in 2-minute drills at the goal line and in some critical moments during games. The Dolphins are in one of those cover zero looks right here. The secondary outside are all in man coverage. The Dolphins coach their guys to engage as much as possible with the offensive linemen before they bail to their coverage spots. This forces the offensive line and protection schemes to engage with them and open up lanes elsewhere. If they have free releases and aren't picked up on that initial step forwards, they have the clear to continue on their track and attack the quarterback. There are 8 total potential rushers here from Miami, and the 49ers have 7 total guys to block. What San Francisco is trying to do here is give a 4-man slide to the left and leave their smaller personnel to block the smaller defensive backs on the right. The left guard over to the right tackle are sliding to pick up the 4 defenders to that side, starting with the linebacker that's walked over the center. That leaves the left tackle, running back, and tight end for the 4 other potential rushers. However, the Dolphins aren't sending all of those 4 guys to the left. That means that the 49ers slid 4 linemen to block 2 defensive players. In turn, the other side now has 3 guys to block 4. That leaves the linebacker walked up over the guard as a free runner. The right tackle can't squeeze down enough to cut off the lane, and it's a free sack for the Dolphins. In the secondary behind those looks, Miami tries to bait quarterbacks into making mistakes. Sometimes they get burned, but what the Dolphins have their defensive backs do behind the cover zero looks is play off man coverage. That's generally pretty normal, but they also play with their eyes in the backfield. Especially in empty, Miami loves to jump routes and spy the quarterback because they know their blitz is going to force the ball out quickly. When they know the quarterback has limited time, that frees them up to be more aggressive and is a big reason why they were +9 in turnovers this year. Flores did a great job of understanding how teams are going to try to block up their zero looks. With that, he can predict their protection plan enough that he can drop players into coverage and still get free runners on the looks. It's a real cat and mouse game because quarterbacks and offenses also know when there's a potential for a free runner, and they're going to adapt for that. The Cardinals here understand that they're giving a full line slide to the right to combat the pressure. Because of that, Kyler Murray knows he's going to have to drift and scramble to the direction of the slide because any backside defenders are going to be unblocked. However, Miami also knows that's what Murray is likely to do. It's a common adjustment. The defensive end to the direction of the slide plays hard upfield to try and force Murray up into the pocket. That also has the added benefit of closing his passing lane to the quick slant down below. The corner is reading the quick slant and is breaking on the route, so even if Murray does get the ball off, he's there to make the play. Murray can't navigate the vertical pressure from the edge, and the Dolphins' defense is able to force the ball out and scoop it up for the score. The heavy pressure looks combined with aggressive secondary play rattled quarterbacks and caused big offensive issues week after week. Flores was just unfazed about bringing blitzes at any time and anywhere on the field. When you don't get a free rusher or can't get home, though, the Dolphins got themselves into trouble. The zero look is not without risk. Miami did a great job of mitigating that as much as possible, but they still got burned on it through the season. Deep shots and quick screens gashed them a couple of times. This time, Arizona's center does an awesome job of folding off of his protection duties down the middle and picking up the edge pressure when the Miami defender engages and then drops into their zone. Without that adjustment, this touchdown doesn't happen. It's a great shift in protection to beat these bail looks from Miami. That buys time for Murray to wait on the deep post and launch the ball deep for a score. The Chiefs especially gashed them on quick screens whenever they got into those cover zero looks. They knew that the Dolphins love to bring pressure against empty formations, so they'd immediately get the ball out on the perimeter to their speed guys and not even attempt to block the players walked up at the line of scrimmage. Instead, they just chose to make those guys turn and chase to the sideline while they picked up 3 yards. Especially with the defenders playing so far off at the corner position, it gave easy access and space for the Chiefs receivers to do damage after the catch. When not in those looks, the Dolphins like to get into tight fronts with a nose or shade and 2 inside techniques on the tackles. They also had outside linebackers up the line of scrimmage to give a 5-man front. However, out of those fronts, they had some real trouble with their force defenders and alley players in the run game. Those problems really showed up against outside zone teams like the Rams and the 49ers. The front is designed to eat up gaps in space inside and leave the linebackers clean to fill and attack. The problem was they couldn't consistently keep teams contained enough to let those linebackers make the plays. Undisciplined edge defenders would get hooked or shoot inside when it wasn't their play to make. A common way to work around the tight front is to run quick pitches and jet sweeps, and that's exactly what the 49ers, Rams, and even the Chiefs did. Here, the contained defender is Kyle Van Noy, number 53. In an effort to pinch the play down, he sidesteps George Kittle, who's lined up over him. However, that allows Kyle Juszczyk to get his outside shoulder and pin him inside. That lets the quick pitch get to the outside and down the sideline. With their interior defenders locked up inside, it's the corners now who are in off coverage who have to come make the play. That tight front had some great versatility and led to a lot of positive plays, but containing teams inside was a recurring issue. Here, they're sending the slot corner on a blitz, which enables the normal force player to shoot inside and try to impact the play. That leaves the corner as the person who's doubling as the contained player. However, they aren't able to squeeze things down enough and are kicked out, which allows the Rams to pop the ball outside. The Dolphins just weren't disciplined in keeping things funneled inside in the run game, which is why their run defense suffered so much through the season. Their interior linemen sometimes struggled to keep their backers free, and they couldn't get the outside sealed. As mentioned though, the tight front wasn't without merits. The Dolphins threw in twists and stunts with their linebackers and made some really nice impact plays out of it. It just didn't happen consistently. Some of the blitzes and pressure looks were fun and creative, but there has to be a balance between making yourself too vulnerable with post-snap movement and creating pressure opportunities. The Dolphins are quickly becoming one of the most fun teams to watch in the NFL, and Brian Flores' defensive scheme has a lot to do with that. He's not scared of dialing it up, and he finds ways to get guys free without any premier edge rushers. Miami was on the cusp of the playoffs this last year, and if the defense shows up like it did in 2020, the sky is the limit for the Dolphins.